On October 5th, there was a lot of discussion in our class on whether God is all powerful, and it was stimulated a lot by the concept of theodicy. And then mention of creation ex nihilo pushed my imagination beyond the discussion. In order to proceed, a basic thought about eternity and history is needed. In eternity, speaking of temporal order, that is, before, after, or then, is simply not possible. In eternity, anything that has ever happened or will ever happen is happening all the time. Yes, I know that's an awkward statement. Tehom, which occurs in Genesis 1:2 and is translated as abyss or deeps, is the Hebrew word for Tiamat that ties the creation story to the Babylonian creation myth. As the mother of all creation and the gods, she engages with the anger that is within her and becomes a monster. Tehom, or Tiamat, represents primordial chaos, which has existed in the creation from the beginning. One might think of it as the absence of creation, not the same as history, or God's influence. I agree with Keller that Tehom is the source of evil, and I believe that it exists within history, as opposed to eternity. Tehom represents a place where God has not yet taken full control. Yes, God is all-powerful in eternity, but that has not happened yet in history. Therefore, both things can be true, not because God is not all-powerful, but because history must unfold, including the conquest of chaos, or Tehom. The Bible never declares the end of creation, only that the bulk of God's unassisted work took place in those first 7 days. In questioning Job, God declares that we cannot fully understand creation. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. In the Legion story that we see in Luke 8, the demons exorcised by the men begged not to be thrown back into the abyss. If the spirits who came from Tehom, the abyss, are so frightened of the place, it must be uniquely frightening. The question we need to consider is where creation occurred, in history or eternity. For me, the answer is yes, but I believe it was mostly in eternity. God has the power or the ability to push or relocate some things from eternity that is not seen into history, the seen. Therefore, the heavens and the earth were and are formed from eternity and pushed into history. We might consider this the beginning of biblical time. However, this did not complete the displacement of chaos, Tehom, that is awaiting the Parousia, the second coming, or the end of time, or history. We sit in a small part of history and cannot see eternity at all. Therefore, we humans cannot observe the fullness of God's omnipotence. God has willed that divine fullness not extend into history. This sets up the possibility of free will for humans, who were created a little lower than God and given dominion over God's creations. Theodicy, therefore, does not present a conflict to omnipotence. It is an artifact of God's will for history.